Psalm 47. Why should I fear evil days, the malice of the foes who surround me? Men who trust in their wealth and boast of the vastness of their riches? For no man can buy his own ransom, or pay a price to God for his life. The ransom of his soul is beyond him. He cannot buy life without end, nor avoid coming to the grave. He knows that wise men and fools must both perish, and leave their wealth to others. Their graves are their homes forever, their dwelling place from age to age, though their names spread wide through the land. In his riches man lacks wisdom. He is like the beasts that are destroyed. This is the lot of those who trust in themselves. So do not fear when someone grows rich, when the glory of their house increases, for they take nothing with them when they die. In his riches, man lacks wisdom. The psalmist's wisdom. And so we pray, make our mouths speak your wisdom, Lord Jesus, and help us to remember that you became human and redeemed us from death, that we might merit the beauty of your light. Amen. Every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I'm here, joined later by Pearnel Charles. Yeah, we bring together a mix of the various elements that constitute the beautiful Jamaican nation, the rainbow hope for the future. Different politics, different ethnic background, different religions, but nonetheless a common cause, the love of the nation that has nurtured us, that we have helped to develop in some small ways, and that we invite everybody to do just the same. We all have talents, all tremendous capacities, many of them blunted, all of them possible for expansion and for flourishing and for a new beginning. Glad for the music this morning. Thank you, Audley, Carleen Davis particularly, and all of them. We need a foundation, for our thinking, for our behavior. For many of us, it's a Christian faith. Yes, it's the way, the truth, and the light of Jesus, however imperfectly and sporadically, and we follow that. For others, it'll be different principles, but it has to be the same fundamental element of respect for ourselves, for life, and for the well-being of the other. If you don't have that, I think we're in difficulties, and we have to change our ways. And it's not just a question of what we profess and what we sing. The tunes must help us to reinforce that which is in our hearts. And indeed, we have to bring Jesus into the schools. We have to bring the principles of one who sacrifices in order that that person and all others can benefit. That's the elixir of life. So there's a very clear philosophy that governs this radio station, new radio station, The Bridge. What's it now, 6 months or 7 months in operation? Yeah, bringing together Jamaicans all over the world, recognizing by this stretch that we all are one. Yes, not just when we gather to live up independence or emancipation or Christmas, but indeed something that indeed gives a commonality to our blood or mind all through the year, wherever we are. You don't have to look like us. You don't have to be of our citizenship. You just have to have a fascination with the beauty, with the scope, and with the potential of this land. The Bridge, 99 FM, to all the world. There's a WhatsApp and text line that we'd be glad if you used. It's 876-551-5782. And the studio line is 876-676-4996. When I get it, I'll give you the weather report for the morning. Yeah. We're just thinking, we give thanks. Jamaica has reasonably even tropical weather. We have had our bursts of problems from time to time, wind, storm, flood, you all know it, wherever you are, whatever you know of this country, its history and its present. We're open to that, prone to it from time to time, but we haven't had serious weather events for quite a while. At the same time, as we're looking with concern at our brothers and sisters in the Pacific, particularly in Tonga, where they're saying, boy, this is an event, a weather event that's one in 1,000 years. Once in 1,000 years. And look now, it's happening. And that nation has had to declare a state of emergency. They're people and places that they can't even reach since this underwater volcano has erupted. And I was just mentioning that we have one in the Caribbean too, the Kicking Jenny. I think it's off St. Vincent near Dominica. And it has shown signs of activity in recent years, but nothing like what has taken place in the Pacific. And so we express our concern for those people. The fate of all is a concern of everyone. Yeah. So because they're far away doesn't mean that we are not sharing humanity, concern, sympathy, and where possible help with them or with anybody who suffers. Okay? And yet we are grateful that we have this equable climate, that we can go about our business, that we can grow, that we can plant, that we can harvest, and we commit ourselves to doing so more and more efficiently, more and more magnanimously, all those good things for the future. This morning on the program, we look at the news, the events of the day. We give you all kinds of different viewpoints, and that's the purpose of broadcasting. Yeah, we're following in a noble tradition. I was listening yesterday to the fact that the Great British Broadcasting Corporation is 100 years old this year. Yeah, and they, in a sense, initiated the proliferation of radio, not only in that country, but all over the world, and still do the transmission of voice, something that our great-grandparents could never conceive of. Yeah, that the voice of a person far away, those listening to us in Toronto, in New York, in England this morning, all over Jamaica, can hear my voice, and their voice can be transmitted even as if they were right here. Yeah, that's a tremendous technological advance. It also gives us a tremendous responsibility and a tremendous happiness, doesn't it? Because then it gives us a closeness of community, the closeness of interaction, the possibilities of us combining to do all good things. It also, unfortunately, opens the door for abuse, for triviality, for superficiality, for demeaning the human spirit. I was reading this morning that the Nigerian government has come to a new agreement with the social media platform Twitter. They had banned Twitter, because they were critical of some of their political statements and the censorship which they were offering. And now they are, thank you, miss, now they are recognizing that there can be some kind of accommodation, some kind of treaty. It makes all the difference in the world. So there's a freedom which the technology of broadcasting and telecasting gives. Remember that this station also videos everything that we do, and you can have access to it on our live stream at www.thebridge99fm.com. You want that again? Of course. www.thebridge99fm.com. On this station and elsewhere, erasing the differences of space and time in a way that the history of the world has never accommodated before. We have that now. So let's use it responsibly. Let's use it excitingly. Let's use it joyously for the liberty and the benefit of all. Somebody asked me the other day why I use the word liberty so often. Am I a Rasta man? No, but I have perhaps I share the spirit, and liberty is an expression. Our language is beautiful, Richie. Yeah, what we can do with our language exceeds the gift, and it is a gift, and a tremendous premium that we have for our fluency with the English language. Yeah, we can cuss English colonialism as much as we want, and we should. Yeah, because of its many excesses and its brutality, its murderousness and its rape. But the fact that we in Jamaica are inheritors of the English language is to our advantage. Not to say that our Jamaican Creole is in any way secondary, but in terms of our capacity to interact with the world, yeah, and with history and the classics, our knowledge of English is not to be taken for granted. I want the school children and the school teachers this morning to listen to what I'm saying, yeah? Fluency in English is a very, very important aspect, okay? So, there we are. We use the word liberty. Liberty is a colonial, a Creole invention. It describes more than just lifestyle. It speaks about a spirit. It speaks about an orientation towards humanity, which is uniquely ours. So who want that reach your Oxford Dictionary, you see? Who want Jamaica to the world? Isn't that what the bridge says? Not only you saying, but him too. That's part of the same texture. The Meteorological Service of Jamaica, their forecast for today, Wednesday, January the 18th. This morning and this afternoon, we can expect isolated showers and thunderstorms across western and hilly areas. Otherwise, it will be partly cloudy. It will be windy across the south coast. Yeah, thunderstorms. I don't hear thunder for a long while, you know. I wonder. Anyway, they say we might hear some across western and hilly areas. That's the forecast in Jamaica. All right. Well, here's some of the news. The new Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs is featured on the front page of The Observer this morning. This is Mrs. Marlene Malahoo Forte, and she says her ministry will take on the task of fixing the current, what she calls chaos, in the legislative process, which has, among other things, seen significant lag in the updating of the country's laws. Okay. All right, we hope that she can do this. I am skeptical, I must tell you. One of the areas of legal affairs which the Prime Minister said he has placed under Mrs. Forte's mandate is human rights. Yeah, and Mrs. Forte is on record as saying previously that Jamaicans may have to give up some of their rights in order to achieve, I suppose, social peace, a reduction in crime. I reject that. Yes, and I don't believe that someone should be placed in responsibility for something as precious as the liberty of the subject if they have indeed made statements from which they have not resiled that seem to undermine and derogate from the very subject that she's now being tasked to uphold. Really? Really? I wonder. However, the simplification and the reform and the upliftment of the legal and legislative process undoubtedly is a very important task which remains and will always remain to be done. Yeah, some of our laws are really outdated and there's a lot to do there. Okay, the training of our lawyers, I believe, is part of this new remit too, and that itself needs looking at. There's been huge changes in the last 50 years in that regard. Had some part of that very earlier on, but we're qualifying hundreds of lawyers a year. Is that investment worthwhile? Is that the best we can do? Are they being trained in a way that upholds human rights in a situation where we are delaying trials 3 and 4 and 5 years, and where vast numbers of our persons seem to be ending up on the wrong side of the law, and where so many who are suspected of or even charged with breaches of the law never seem to be held to account? How about that? You going to deal with that? Yeah, I wonder. When I see that the trial, for example, of an issue to do with the appointment of a permanent secretary in the Ministry of Education has been postponed after months and years of being pending. It was supposed to start this week, and it has been postponed now until November. Why? Because the registrar of the Supreme Court in Jamaica couldn't find 2 judges to join a third, which is required to hear this event. Yes? Well, I'm wondering whether all of this paraphernalia which has to go into this new ministry, which the topics of which were being dealt with anyway in other ministries, the Ministry of Justice, for example, they should have hired 5 more judges, you think? And give people the justice on the ground that is needed. So I'm not derogating from the tasks that have to be done, but I'm very skeptical about the way that it has been decided to deal with it, and I hope for the best, but I'm doubtful whether the objectives will be achieved as quickly and as efficiently and as pointedly as possible. Yeah, and we need more human rights in Jamaica. We need more human responsibilities to go along with those rights, okay? I'm a libertarian. The Constitution of Jamaica invites me to be that as a condition of my citizenship. And when you become a minister, you swear to uphold the Constitution, not to undermine it and chip away at it, all right, in your panic, in your defensiveness, in your inability to conceive of different ways of improving let me use that word again, the liberty of all of our people. And that excuses no crime. It allows for no breach of anybody else's right. In fact, it elevates the humanity of everyone. That's what we're about on the bridge, 99 FM. Okay, so let's, no doubt that will come up again in our discussion later on this morning on the early rise. Okay? And there's the hope that we can do much better in some of our other areas. The Statistical Institute of Jamaica yesterday was reported as saying that over the recent period, there has been a 5% increase in food prices. What do you say? A 5% increase in food prices? Oh no. Oh no. What are you measuring, Miss highly regarded, deeply respected director of the Statistical Institute? Which person listening to the bridge this morning has been able to manage their food budget, whatever it was a year ago, a few months ago, have been able to manage with only 5% more than what you had to spend and eat the same, buy the same amount? That's impossible. The food prices have gone up like 25% from every report that I have seen, heard, and personally experienced. So, I'd like more explanation of this. I want to believe them. I really, really want to believe them. I'm not a congenital skeptic. But when you say something which is so obviously contrary to what public experience is, then you stretch our credibility. And we don't want our officials and our official agencies to do that. It's like the unemployment figures. We're glad to hear that more people are working. Pleased. Which person could want otherwise? But when you measure the employment by people having done a couple hours of work in the last week, that's not employment. Where you get that from? Oh yes, I know. I'm fully aware that that is an international standard of measurement, but it doesn't serve people properly. It doesn't serve our needs. We want people to have a work that is a fulsome work, a full day's work, and which exercises their minds and their bodies and gives them a reasonable reward. Yeah, that's what work is. And so we want to know how many jobs of that kind we have to create. Not more of the windshield washers. Not more of the people who stand up on the street side and sell 2-finger banana for the whole day. Yeah? And can't eat unless you buy it for them sour ganep. Yeah? Oh, those are. I'm not deriding those people. God bless you. I don't know how you do that. When you sit on the roadside all day, whether it's Beckford Street or Hero Circle or Sam Sharp Square, or you go to the bathroom, what you feel about yourself? What happens when people come and talk to you? What happens when them thief your goods? What happens when Metropolitan come and take away your stall, your tray, and fling it down? Yes. Is that the height of, is that satisfactory Jamaican experience? Is that what we want for ourselves? Diaspora, help us now. Higher standards than that. How that go? Yeah. So, we're not vexed. We just want the truth. And we want, I say it again, we want liberty. Not just for some, but for all. Yeah, and the concern of this program, the Early Rise on the Bridge, is that we are stretching and searching for that liberty for all. Yeah, and the contention is open to your criticism, open for your proof otherwise. Note I said proof, not just assertion, not self-serving public relations. But we want to make sure that our systems, our institutions, whether it is the legal system, as we're talking about, whether it is the economic system, whether it is our education and health system, health is top of the list right now. Yeah, from today, you can't go a clinic or go a hospital if you're for your normal things because COVID come first. Yeah, so we want to make sure that we are organizing ourselves with all of our resources, with all of our brilliance, with all of the grace that God has given us. Yeah. So that the benefits of life in this country are so obvious and shared, not in equal proportions, but in reasonable proportions for everyone, according to their dignity as a human person, their divinity as a human person. And that we stand for, and that we defend on the bridge 99 FM to the world. Because when people go abroad, yeah, and bust out them soul case in a winter morning like what is happening now. A guy called me, yeah, from Queens this morning before day. I said, what you do up so awake so early? Him say, him no sleep yet because the third job him just coming home from. And him have 5 hours and him a gone again. But him want to know that him picnic can get in a good school. Him want to know that his mother, who's sick, have some care. I'm worried about the fact that she can't keep her clinic appointment because I'm here say last night at hospital depot emergency service alone. And I had to reassure him, yeah, that while that is true, I feel sure that they wouldn't turn back the old lady. I hope I'm right. I really hope I'm right. Yeah. And he asked for prayers. He asked for prayers that he could manage to continue. God says 1 day a week and get for rest. And that day he have to do other things, all his domestic arrangements. And he's tired. And he's willing to continue, you know. Willing to continue. He can't come home because his paper's not right. He went on a farm work. And, you know, him kind of ease off. I'm not defending any of that, you know, Bridge 99 family. But I'm saying that that is a reality for tens and hundreds of thousands of our people. And they're not congenitally bad. They're not sinners. What they're doing is people trying to do something for themselves. Just like the little girl or little boy on the street side that sell two pinda cake or 3 orange. Yeah, we're trying for ourselves. We're willing. The underclass of Jamaica, so to speak, is not criminally born and bred that way. Yeah, it's society and its institutions and its carelessness and their irresponsibility, all of ours, that cause it. So, can we change it? No, we can change it. You know, nothing. Governor General Allen, you are right. There's nothing wrong in Jamaica. That what is right about Jamaica cannot solve. Is we have to make that possible. That's our aim. That's what we use words and music on the early rise, on the bridge 99 to foster. It's a pilgrimage. It's an odyssey. We'll soon come back. Yeah, we're in this together. How you take that into Gordon House now? Yeah. Yesterday afternoon, in the Parliament, it is reported in the press this morning, there was, the Gleaner says, a spat. That means a confrontation between Finance Minister Clark and opposition spokesman on finance, Julian Robinson. 2 intelligent men, you know. And it's about this bauxite thing. Apparently the minister was answering questions about how much money. Same questions we've been asking here. Yep. Asking how much money Jamaica is getting from the various bauxite arrangements. And it turns out that this profit-sharing arrangement that we got into in 2018, yes, it draw blank. We get little money, yes, get some U.S. money, but it is much less than what we would have expected to get from the bauxite levy, yeah, which is a normal thing. But this government in 2018, I think it was, suspended the bauxite levy, said we would get more. Mike Henry told me that, me personally, in Parliament, when I questioned this profit-sharing substitution for the levy, that no, we would get more. Yeah, scorn me when I suggested otherwise. That's all right. Okay, but nothing personal. But it turns out that we draw a bad card. Yes, on that. Now, Minister Clark is saying, yeah, but if we didn't do it that way, they wouldn't have taken out as much bauxite. And so we wouldn't have got even the money where we did get. But then, Minister, what's wrong with that? Because if we keep, if a man come into your shop and him say, nah, buy what you have for sale at the price, so you have it, you're supposed to get for it. Yep. And what are you going to do? Lower the price in order for him get the advantage and for you get the what? The disadvantage. When you can't replace what it is him take at the discounted price. Tell me now. That makes sense? Anybody could have run a shop or a little a patty shop or a stall on the street, and you do that. So what happened now? Jamaica lost the bauxite. The place mash up, okay, and the money short, and we must say, boy, we couldn't do better, you know. No, sir. This thing can't work that way. Well, there seems to be an understanding now, as Robinson pointed out, that, and certainly Minister Montague, who I credit with understanding the arithmetic in this one, yes, and he earlier this year, last year, said, look, this is going to be, we're bringing back the bauxite levy. Well, you know, I don't business with the bauxite at all. My view is we should have stopped that because it's pure losses we're getting. Yeah, pure losses we're getting. And I dare anybody who has a different view, come challenge us on the early rise, no? Yeah, you're welcome. You want me to give you the number? 876-676-4996. Yeah. I never always felt this way about bauxite. Now I know more. I will do better and think differently. Yeah. And I travel and see what bauxite do to Jamaica countryside in St. Anne, in St. Elizabeth, and in Clarendon, particularly. And I don't see any gains from that can be commensurate with what our losses are. So, where we started with Luciano and Terriculture, in this together. If we had been in this together as political leaders, if we hadn't taken different sides, then maybe we would have got a better deal, or maybe we would have taken a decision, hard, but a decision that would have said, look here now, make the bauxite stay until the market change, and then the company will come back, and then we get our proper money out of it. How about that? That could make a difference, you know. And then maybe the question would arise, no, not maybe, certainly, but then how you finance the budget. But then you see, hello, no, that we have to look upon. We have to look on the whole budget now and see if we are spending that which we must get, even if we want to scrape off every inch of Jamaican land. We have to ask what we do with the money. Because if we look and see it, that we could change up the budget and use it in a different way and stop the waste and the thieving, the inefficiency, then we might be more conservative of our natural resources, eh? How about that? Yeah. So these big changes we're talking about, you know, in this together, Luciano and Terriculture, get ready, orderly, something's going to happen. Yeah. So these are the things that we need to look at. I'm watching the news abroad, and I noticed that poor President Biden, what I said about drawing bad card, President Biden looked like him draw a bad card. No, there's no gloat in my voice at all. I'm just chuckling at being able to use our lyrics for that. And poor fellow can't even protect voting rights in America. Can't get through his Build Back Better bill. Man, what a serious situation. Facing a continued onslaught of lies about the legitimacy of his own election. Boy, we know the voice grows thin because we don't really want to have to form such an adverse view. Liberty is at stake, yeah? Liberty is at stake in what is going on in the American polity at this time. Our liberty too can be affected. Come and stand up strong. Come and think straight. Yeah. In any event, surely we have to advocate for, we have to enunciate a different order, a different way of doing things, eh?
Yes, but Ronnie, you have to understand that every country has their ways. And that we don't have one international constitution that covers everybody.
No, but do we have I agree with you, sir. But
we have different cultures.
Okay, but do we have a common sense of the value of life, of the nobility of humanity, and of the obligation to lift up the interests of others as well as ourselves?
Yes, I put it another way, but probably saying the same thing. We have the responsibility to recognize other people,
right,
their culture,
yeah,
and what make them free,
yeah,
as we would like to become free.
Right.
And that make that adjustment, because it's not very far. Where people want a better life,
yeah,
and whatever you do,
yeah,
they would like to get an education.
Yeah.
And education bring them a profession.
Sure.
A profession bring them family,
yeah,
and be able to take care of that family.
Right.
all of that is mixed up into with whatever ideology you want to have.
Sure. So what we are fight about?
What's that?
What we are fight about?
Well,
If
we're
we have
fighting,
a
fighting
common
because
cause.
there's a common cause, but there's also something in you which make you want more for yourself and your people.
Yeah.
Or you want to try something different to overpower. You want to take charge of everybody.
No,
I mean,
but that
it's
is
in man.
Right. But then I'm so glad you're raising this, because that sentiment that you just expressed is a sentiment of the assertion of power. Yes?
Yes.
And in my view, that cannot be put on the same plane, given the same weight as is the aspiration for a reasonable lifestyle that you first enunciated earlier.
But
No, let us separate the two. Do we accept in Jamaica that there is going to be no peace, no lasting advantage, unless we all have some measure of taking care of ourselves, having a good education, raising a family in some kind of stability? Do we accept that?
Well, I think we accepted that long time. What we have not accepted is how to achieve that. Because everybody comes say, listen, I can allow you to achieve that quicker or better than Ronnie is able to do, or John is able to do. And if you select me, right? And we have a thing in our hands that we have not been using,
What's that?
The selection process.
Selection of leaders?
Not only leaders. Well, put it leaders.
Yeah.
Because whether it's prime minister, or councillor, or the district leader, that is leader, because they command a certain number of respect, and they give you a certain amount of instruction that you are willing to accept, and you consider that part of your development process.
Yeah, but what is it that we have not been using? Because you see, my deep meditation about you, Chief Charles, is that you are heading towards the Perkins solution. For years, my program on another station preceded Wilmot Perkins. And it was a time when I was about to engage, or had already engaged in representation of politics.
Yes.
And I contended with him and rejected his denunciation about Jamaican political culture, because I couldn't accept that it was as corrupt, as leading in the wrong direction as he often made it out to be.
But you have just used two words that I'd like to challenge you on.
Please.
It is corrupt because of your evaluation. Right?
No, well, corrupt because of the obvious results that we're facing.
In your opinion, it is not producing what you think is good for the man.
Brethren, when not only my opinion, if you see people hungry out the street, if you see the vast divergence between official figures that say food price in the last year only go up 5%, when you and I know it's different, an opinion that, sir, that is facts.
Yeah, but you and I have a culture that look on the worst. In every point that you can present here, there's a majority that is better off. In other words, the majority is not poor. The majority is not on the roadside begging. The majority can buy, don't care how the price go up.
Really? The majority?
The majority are buying.
Really?
Well, if they weren't buying, the owners couldn't be increasing the price.
No,
they may be buying less, but they're buying.
Yeah.
All right.
So things are right.
So I compromise on one point. It is not right in where you say me and you and Perkins going, but it is right in some other people's life.
Well, but
and unfortunate.
I can't accept that as being enough.
Unfortunate, Ronnie. And this might be a lot of people saying no, Mr. Charles, but I think so. Unfortunate, I believe the majority is on that side.
Well,
and majority is not on our side. The majority is not seeing the man that you're talking about sitting by the roadside begging. And I say, I see 2 up a half a tree, 4 down a crossroad, and 5 down a
no, but
passed.
Yeah, but you are.
It is symbolic of something else.
Thank you. You said it.
Yes, right? Of those who don't come out. Of those who are embarrassed to come out.
If you are telling me that you feel that on average everything is getting much better and going well, and it's just a matter of soon come for the rest, then I have to fundamentally understand two things: understand your position, but two, equally fundamentally, disagree with it. That is not the case.
Well, fundamentally disagree, Ronnie, if you want. But if I were in a position to believe that everything in Jamaica is on the negative.
But that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
All right, but let me put it another way. If I were in a position to say that the majority of things are not in the majority. In other words, if most things were not in the positive.
Well, we have to be specific. They're
Let's take one. Take it. Anyone you want to put, throw it at me.
Well, I threw it at you earlier about the bauxite industry. Here is Minister Clark defending this profit sharing arrangement, which he didn't create. It was created previous to his enter into ministerial office. Yes, and he's saying, look, no, this was the best we could do. And I'm saying, no, it wasn't the best we could do.
What do you think was the best we could do?
The best we could do is, if we couldn't maintain the level of earnings that we had legislated and agreed on and collected.
Yes, we should leave the earth there.
Yeah, leave the earth there.
Yeah, but Ronnie, that is something that probably you and Perkins would agree with, and I can't agree with you.
You can't agree.
No, let me tell you why.
So if you can't agree with me.
Let me tell you why. Let me explain why.
Yeah.
I still believe that if you look at the bauxite industry, much was being done for Jamaica other than the price they were paying government. You have thousands of workers who are benefiting, sending their children to school, building homes, buying land, buying cars. In other words, hold on. The people, there were a lot of people, thousands, hundreds of people who were benefiting. Right. What we were not getting while we move to sharing was that the man them said they're not making the money. Yeah. So them can't pay the thing.
Some I'm going to exaggerate to make a point. Yeah. But your point about people benefiting from a particular enterprise and therefore make it low is the same argument that the mafia puts forward.
The who?
Mafia.
Oh Lord, you call me a mafia?
No, what I'm making is a comparison. I wouldn't do that, sir.
No.
The end does not justify the means. We're having deep philosophical discussions on this. The end, yes, does not justify the means.
In this instance.
And that's a general philosophical principles, which we forget very often, because what we're saying is, because of all those good things that you mentioned, undeniable, accepted, yes, those cannot compare with the detriment that we are suffering, which will go on world without end. Amen.
Yeah, but let me go back to the bauxite, because I have special interest in the bauxite.
I'm sure you do.
The bauxite industry went to Centon, and Tom, John, and Clark, who had 2 acres of hillside, the land was taken from them, and they were given 5 and 10 acres of beautiful level lands in other parishes. Oh. Their homes were taken, and they were given up the bauxite, built a home for them.
Boy,
and then move.
I can hear the shouting coming from
No, but I was there.
Of course you were there. So what?
Hold on, because what I opposed to. What they did with those land was contrary to the contract they gave us.
Yes, sir. So
that is all that my problem is, you know.
No, but fine. But then, that being the case, how can you come to a positive conclusion?
Because it's not
I don't understand you.
Because maybe in the end.
You are bad.
Hold on. Maybe in the end it is bad.
So the end does not justify the means.
I'll go with you that the end doesn't justify those who get and those who didn't get.
At the end of the day,
those who are better off.
I have one question for you. At the end of the day, are the people of St. Anne and the people of Jamaica better off?
Some of the people in St. Anne are much better off.
No, when you look at
Hold on.
Okay, I accept that.
And some of the people in Jamaica are better off.
Right. But then what is your objection?
You told me what my objection? My objection to the bauxite, what they have done to St. Anne, is what they have left St. Anne in.
Right.
A ruin.
Well,
hold on.
What is that remarkable phrase? Argument done.
No, the argument not done yet. Let me explain to you. Those who gave them permission to go to St. Anne
Right.
gave them a contract.
Yeah.
Which say they were going to do this. They were going to reclaim the land.
And when them
They
don't
were
do it- when
and
them-
they haven't done that.
So-
Whose responsibility was
Okay,
for
sir.
the government of Jamaica with a PNP or jail?
Very well, sir.
And they have failed to do
But
it.
at the end of the day, yes, your descendants in St. Anne.
Yes.
Yes. At the end of the day, whoever's fault is what? Yes. What are they experiencing now and likely to experience for the next hundreds of years?
Well, Ronnie, let me tell you, I've been there. I know. I went there down to the other day.
Yes, sir.
Most of who were moved from Tobolski,
Right.
George's Grove, Thatchfield,
Yes, sir.
Macedonia, all of those people who were moved.
Yes.
Some had half acre. They were given like 5 acres down in Trelawney,
Yes.
and then money.
Broke
My
up.
father being one of them.
Broke up the community.
Yes. Yes.
To what end?
It mashed up the community.
Yes, sir. And that are
And
good?
hold on. Some are better off.
Oh.
Because what they have received, they live a better life and they were able to take care of the children better. Now, the 1 or 2 is where I agree with you that that end of a few being better off doesn't justify the means that a lot
And therefore-
have not better off.
and
therefore, you disagree, and I say I don't disagree with mine. If those who gave the contract had followed it up,
Yeah, but you see, I really don't like to end up this discussion as we have to.
Well, we have to end
In a sense where what we do is end up blaming our oppression on ourselves.
no, but you are saying we should have kept.
That is an argument. That is an argument that in my study of the history of slavery, that was often said. That the condition of the slave, when abolition was being proposed, the argument was, it's just some people who are malcontents and don't know how to handle themselves, because really this is a benign institution that is absolutely necessary for their own good, and that's the argument.
Hear what my son said.
Yeah.
Everything there's a positive and a negative.
Yeah.
So you must evaluate
And we are doing
how
it.
large the positive
Right, and at
how
least
small the negative.
let us
and how
snatch-
large the negative, how
Yes,
small.
let us
and
snatch-
I agree with that.
Okay, let us snatch victory from the jaws of defeat of this argument, because at least you and I are coming together and having a spirited discussion on the matter. This nation has never done so. Its parliament has not done so. So at least we're taking a step forward. For that, we are grateful. And we
And
take a break.
you remember when you were there,
Yeah.
and
Couldn't get a
I got
discussion
up
on it.
with tears in my eyes,
Yes.
bawling about what was happening in Moko, bawling about that breadfruit tree I
Yes,
tell
yes.
you about.
Yes, yes.
Every time I get up, the
Yes,
ball
Moko,
up front.
yeah.
Pearnel, Moko again.
Moko again.
And it embarrasses
And you
you.
were-
However,
right.
I keep fighting.
But you were right to prevail. More on the early rise. We prevail on the Bridge 99. Thanks for being on the early rise on the Bridge 99 FM. Pearnel Charles and myself discussing the events of the day, and soon to be interviewing with 2 extraordinary ladies, Miss Keishia Thorpe and her twin sister, Dr. Treisha Thorpe, both of them Jamaicans expanding and excelling themselves abroad. Remember Keishia? She was a winner of the 2021 Global Teacher Prize Award. They're in Jamaica, and we're hearing their stories. We're going to be inspired by their example. Now, Mr. Charles, another issue I raised this morning, I'm obliged to put it to you. The new Minister of Constitutional Affairs spoke yesterday justifying the areas of legal reform that her ministry is going to be responsible for. Okay? Necessary areas.
Yes.
None of them new. All previously under the remit of the Ministry of Justice.
Yes.
Okay? Setting up a new ministry, as you would know, involves quite a bit of expense, bureaucracy, etc. But at the same time, in our courts yesterday, yes, where justice, where constitutionality hits a road, so to speak, you had the case of the permanent secretary, a former permanent secretary in the Ministry of Education. His case challenging his reassignment, postponed. This is January now, you know. It's already about 3 years old, from 2019, I believe. It's postponed until November. Why, Mr. Charles? Because we don't have enough judges. You couldn't find 2 more judges to constitute the panel. Now, we have to make some decisions. My view is it's very important to have an emphasis on legal reform, Yes, it was supposed to be done before. Why wasn't it being done? We don't know. What is left in the Ministry of Justice? We don't know. But if it was me, sir, I would have spent the money that is going to be expended to set up this new apparatus. I would have spent it on hiring 5 more judges so that you would not have justice delayed in the way that the case that I'm just telling you about, which is yesterday's case in Jamaica, happened, because I do believe that justice delayed is justice denied. And you may say that the case of an administrative thing with the permanent secretary is of some importance, but, make it go on. You have hundreds, I'm sure, of cases, criminal cases, where people's rights, victims' considerations are being postponed for years and years because the legal system can't reform. We need to choose priorities better, you think, Mr. Charles?
Oh, yes. In other words, in order to stop you from assaulting me, I just agree with you. But let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
I read what she has said yesterday, and I didn't know. I didn't know a lot of that.
Yeah, indeed.
And it is frightening because she finally wound up to say, in my opinion, she will not be able to get through all of it either.
No.
Now, the Chief Justice has been joking us from 2 weeks ago with something.
Yeah, the jury.
The jury? Now, what is your position on that? Because you're an attorney, you're a religious man, you're a man that carry the candle and have on the big cross around your neck.
What a life, eh?
And as a result of that, you have to at least provide us with that religious backup.
Well, oh Lord, I am not worthy, as the centurion said. But I'm in favor of retaining jury trials. So I think there's a principle of law from going back about 15 or 16 centuries was that
So it's old
and well tried and proven. And it is not to slight our judges and their fairness, but there is no reason other than our own laziness and ineffectual conduct that makes jury trials difficult. If we as citizens really understood our obligation to our brothers, then if we have to go and be a juror and adjudicate fairly a person's case, we should be willing to do so.
Yes, if we can find the juries that can fit into what you say, I'm in agree.
Yes, sir. Then you mean in Jamaica?
Could I tell you something?
This is like Sodom and Gomorrah.
Could I tell you something?
Right.
I prefer to take a chance with a judge than 11 people.
Yeah.
Some agree and some disagree.
So therefore, you have that choice in most cases.
Or you have a choice to go at the jury or
right. Many defendants right now.
Not in all cases, though.
No.
Okay.
But generally speaking, you have that choice to opt for a judge alone or a jury in certain serious cases.
Yeah, but the
all
jury,
I'm saying is you don't have to abolish one in order to have the other.
Well, then the attorneys who are in charge of many of these cases can also consult the judge and say, my client will go.
Yeah.
So then we don't really have a big problem.
No, so I don't know why Chief Justice raised that.
Because maybe many of the lawyers are not trusting the judge.
And they have a right to say, I prefer my client, or on instructions of their client, they prefer to have their guilt or their innocence determined by a panel of their peers. And that is a perfectly reasonable and indeed important, I would say, essential human right.
I won't ask you this, and please don't answer it, although I'm going to say it.
Hold my head.
Do you think that many of the juries are not contaminated by cousin and uncle and friend and little cash?
Could be. And
don't tell me say that one or two judges fall in that too.
Well, I must.
Not only here.
No. Look at what is happening in just to fill it out, sir. Look at what is happening in the United States Supreme Court right now, where there's this judge named Gorsuch, yes, who is refusing to wear a mask. Yes, even although the woman who sits beside is a severely compromised person, Judge Sotomayor. Yes, she's diabetic. And she has now removed herself from the bench because she does not want to expose herself to the possible contamination by this man, who the Chief Justice has said to him, please wear a mask. And he said, no, it's my right not to. And he's a judge of the highest court, unimpeachable court of the great United States.
And is expected to adjudicate on my case.
Yes, sir.
If I say
Yes, sir.
I am not wearing or I am wearing
Yes,
a coat,
sir.
and I'm taken to court.
Right. So you see, when you have that kind of obvious bias and prejudicial position, that at that level, when you ask me if I'm going to say that some judges may, in our midst have some prejudices and biases, I have to acknowledge human nature. I'm very careful and very reticent to ever criticize a judge, because they have such responsibility and they can't talk for themselves. Yes, but
let me help you, because I wouldn't want one judge to say, once you use the word judge, you're talking me.
Yeah.
Not true. Because I wouldn't want a man to look at me and say the 40 odd years that I spent in the parliament, and only 10 of those years, 5 of those years, I wasn't a minister.
Yes.
I wouldn't want a man to say, I want to go and check my record.
Yes.
And tell me about child some thieving take place.
But then you see, that is.
But that doesn't mean that you can't check some other people's record on both sides, and it clean or not clean.
Yes.
That's all.
So therefore, what we need then is just fairness and humanity, and not one-upmanship.
Yes.
Yes. That's the standard that we defend on this program. That is what we want for ourselves. That is much simpler than some of the posing that going on, sir.
But it comes down to power,
But then
because
exercise the power. Now, sir, I was hoping that my Prime Minister yesterday afternoon, would have said no. You see that thing happened in court. Mr. Chuck or Mrs. Forte, I beg you, let us find the funds, Minister Clark, to empower the appointment of 5 more judges or 10 more judges, so that the travesty and the inefficiency borne out by these postponements need not take place. And secondly,
I'm going to check I'm going to put you on the court.
Right, sir.
I'm going to flick a ball past you.
Boy.
Because I don't believe that putting on 5 more judges can solve the problem.
No, it may need 10. It may need 10.
It needed 10.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to be honest with you, I am prepared to give up a little of my money in the more taxes.
Yeah.
If it means that 10 more judges in Jamaica
could help too.
even one a parish, so call it, how many parishes are 12 or 14, because you know all that mistake on it.
Yes, sir, soon 15.
It's 14 now, and it soon be 15.
Yes, sir.
Even one a parish, I am prepared to pay a little more.
Me too, sir.
Right?
You and I raise hands.
I hold it for people, put their finger in their belly, me too.
Provided that the necessity for us to pay a little bit more to get that is not because, you have this guy with a contract that say must get the pay after him get fired, if him get fired. Yes, I expected a word on that yesterday too, to say no. However this happens, no particular reflection on the individual. Hope he stays and does well. Yes, but none of this anymore. I expected Clark or Honorable Holness or Honorable Clark to get up and say yesterday, listen, public, you've been reading this in the press. I'm reacting to you now. This is not what we stand for.
And all they had to say was, we agree with the gentleman who's there now to say, him don't have that contract, and literally he would not accept that contract.
But you have it.
No. Hold on. Some just have to just certify it.
Yeah. What he
Say
did
it gone.
What he did say, and to his credit, is that he would be prepared to have the contract revised for the regular 2-week or 1-month notice.
Yes.
So you say, fine, thank you. You are taking a step to correct it. This is a standard we hold. This is what we are going to ensure must apply in all of the government agencies.
And this is what applied to you and I when we were in our job.
Absolutely, sir.
So,
across the board.
So it wasn't a jail PNP thing, because it linked both PNP and jail.
So why we don't just instead of going around the problem, or instead of leaving it to fester, why we don't just deal with it? That is what public relations, that is what communications, that is what a Ministry of Communication must do. Bring justice to the people.
And that is what the bridge is doing this morning.
On the line, we
Cross
soon
over the bridge.
When we come back, we have this marvelous positive vibe coming through with our interview of of the two Mesdames Thorpe, Jamaicans excelling abroad and adding luster to the national spirits. We soon come back on the Early Rise. Hello, Miss Keishia Thorpe. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me again.
Happy to have you again. My goodness, the teacher of distinction, 2021 global educator, and I hear you have a look-alike, a twin sister.
Yes, right here.
Good morning, Dr. Treisha Thorpe. Welcome. Boy, I tell you.
I don't know how they produce two pretty girls.
Listen to me.
Oh, not that.
And then you add to it by plaiting your hair same way, so that we know.
Listen,
Beautiful.
Let me tell you, you must be careful of these middle-aged sweet boys like Charles, you know.
And I will vote for that. Be careful. My wife will agree with Ronnie 100%.
Two sisters, welcome home, and this is special, really, really special for the bridge and for the Early Rise to have the both of you. Let's start with Keishia. Since we last spoke to you, what have you been doing in terms of the fulfillment of all your obligations and honors as being the 2021 Global Educator? We're proud can done of you, you know, in Jamaica. Tell us what's been happening.
I know. It's been a lot. I'm actually here in Jamaica right now, and I'm so happy to be back home, you know, where it all started. And I'm just really here trying you know, I'm very, very busy. I'm traveling and I'm sharing my best practice, and I'm really sharing my platform as a teacher and to spotlight some of the things that are going on in education and just really champion for kids. So I have quite a busy schedule, and while I'm here in Jamaica, I just want to really make sure that I'm meeting with a few of business leaders, some government officials, because I really want to make sure that they understand my platform, what I'm doing with my organization to help young children achieve higher education, and to just make sure that there's continued progress in my country, because even though I live in the US, I want to make sure that I'm constantly giving back to my country, because you know, I'm very much a patriot.
Listen, this is so good. This is exactly what we try to foster on this radio station and on this program. And you're not alone. Dr. Treisha, tell us your story. I gather you're of the same frame of mind as Keishia.
Yes. And so while my sister is an educator at the secondary level, I am a higher education professor. So while we take these students from high school and we try to matriculate them to college, I think they have the best of both worlds. They have my sister in the high school classroom, and they have me with a collegiate experience. So we marry those experiences, figure out what these students really need from that stage of high school going into college, and we are better able to meet their needs. So I think it's a great marriage with our experiences. And the crazy thing is we both end up being educators.
Yes. Tell me, what is your discipline? Keishia told us last time about her secondary school. What do you do?
So I actually teach a gamut of business courses. So from international business to organizational behavior, public relations, marketing, you name it, I teach it. But and business ethics, but my main area is accounting. Yes. So I teach undergraduate accounting as well as master's accounting. So I teach both undergraduate and graduate level students.
Remind us, both of you Thorpe ladies, remind us of your background, where you come from, how you come to where you are.
Well, I was born here in Kingston. I was raised or partially grew up in Trelawney with my grandmother. And when my grandmother got older, we moved back here to Kingston. I went to St. Andrew High School for girls.
Listen to me. I remember that, and whole heap of people, whether they were your contemporaries or not, meet me up and say, "See there now, stop your boasting. You could have never do better than St. Andrews." And here,
St. Andrews.
Yes, I am definitely a St. Andrew girl.
And what about your sister? Is she St. Andrew too?
Oh yeah, yes.
Come. My daughters would agree with you. My son said they should have gone to Campion.
No, but
I went to St. Andrew when it has a twang on it. St. Andrew.
I'm a
St. Andrew girl.
But tell me, give me your assessment. Your background, your education in Jamaica, how has that contributed, positively or not, to the high achievement that both of you have attained in the United States?
When I think about my time at St. Andrew and the people that I met there and the door that just being at St. Andrew was able to open up for me, I think that is really the start of my success story, and because it carved a path of success for me. And with my grandmother instilling the value of education, and we were so ambitious, and it gave us an opportunity to get a track scholarship. I went to Howard University in Washington, D.C., and my sister went to Central Missouri State University, and we were able to complete our degree debt-free. And I think that's one of the biggest things for us, is that having a debt-free education really helped us to continue our path successfully. Because, when kids graduate from college and they're bogged down with with debts and so on. And of course, when you come from humble beginnings and you don't necessarily you're not thinking about what will happen after college, right? Yes. And when you get out of college, you don't want to have those debts, because then it puts additional strain on you, right? And it doesn't allow you to kind of continue to break that cycle of poverty. All it does is you get your degree, you get out of college, and then you know that the struggle continues.
Sure.
So having a debt-free education allows you to continue to chart that path of success for yourself, because you're not bogged down with debts.
But then, Dr. Treisha, tell me, there's been a proposal that we have heard of in Jamaica by the present United States administration to do some amount of debt forgiveness. Is it cancellation of student debt, precisely to avoid the kind of albatross that Keishia speaks of? But I understand that perhaps it's not going to pass. It's not going to get the kind of support it needs. What's your thought?
Well, I try to stay clear from a lot of bureaucracy and, government business. But, it is important, like my sister said, for students to get that particular support.
Yes.
with debt forgiveness.
Right.
And I know it's a huge thing right now in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of students are asking for it.
Yes.
And it will, if passed,
mm-hmm.
help a lot of students have this really great future.
Yes.
Here, I'm not sure exactly how it works in terms of credit
really
scores and getting loans.
Sure.
But there it's really, really difficult.
Yes.
If you get out of school at age 18, you're really an adult. And
mm-hmm.
many of the students who live in the inner city, when they leave home, their path for success depends on them, right? And so if they actually have all these debt and not being able to get loan forgiveness, then they basically go back to the inner city. Sure. And we keep perpetuating the same thing.
Yes.
And sure. This for them, this means that students from low-income families, they're not able to pay their tuition. Mm-hmm. They're not able to, pay these large interest rates. Yeah. Well, right now, I think the good thing is during the pandemic, there has been some
suspension,
some forbearance.
Yes.
some forbearance with that,
Yeah.
where students are not incurring those interests on their loans.
but-
And I think that's the best thing that could ever happen. The time frame has been extended,
Yes.
but listen, like you said, because it's extended doesn't mean the debt goes away.
No, it doesn't.
You know, and so yeah, the loan forgiveness is a huge thing, and if it's passed, I think it will be a great thing, just like the infrastructure bill.
Yes, good. Important to hear that. And Keishia, the kind of person who will benefit most from the position that Treisha is saying is the kind of children that you have devoted your life in secondary school for. It's the kind of person who has thrived under your tutelage, is it not? That class of
Yes.
person?
Yes.
Blacks,
So
Hispanics,
you know,
Hispanics?
yes, at the high school level, I mainly teach students who are from low-income backgrounds, and mainly are immigrants and refugees. And even though for those of them who are able, you know, so here's what some of the students that I teach are undocumented. Can undocumented students still be able to get into institutions in the
Sure.
US? Yes, they're able to complete their higher education. However, they're not able to get financial aid or Pell Grants or some state aid and those things to buffer some of those costs that the actual citizen or green card holder would be
Yes,
able
be
to
able to.
receive. And so for
Entitled.
them, it is enormous. And for immigrants, of course, you know, everyone is going to America to fulfill their American dream. And these kids are so ambitious and they want to fulfill their dream, but without that financial support, they're unable to do so. And as immigrants, of course, that's their only hope of achieving success in their lives or change trajectory of their family's life, to live a better life.
Yes.
And if they're not able to get the higher education, that's not going to happen.
Well,
And if if in their mind they're constantly thinking about the cost, it's
Yep.
not going to happen. And so we do have a lot of immigrants in the U.S. that after high school, they don't see a future past that because of the cost of college. And that's exactly where our nonprofit organization comes in as well.
tell us.
Doctors, I have a problem, and I would love you to help me solve it. When I was a boy, there were no women who were headmasters at school.
Principals.
There were just men.
Yeah.
And fortunately, in my last years as a politician, the women
Yeah.
had literally taken over the leadership in schools, particularly in rural areas.
Yes.
And I come to the conclusion that we have not spent enough time in re-preparing. I say re-preparing because they graduate to go to the teachers
Yeah.
to really get the children on board, not only educationally, culturally, socially, behaviorally, you know. How do you find our teaching force in Jamaica today?
Teacher education is a critical element to all of the upliftment that you guys have spent your lives dealing with, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, they say all professions come from teaching, right?
Yes.
And then there was this quote that says, "Who can't teach?" Right? And then there's this big shift now is who can teach, right? So with that shift, you know, we're really trying to get a lot of young people more excited about going into the classroom. And you know, I guess historically it has been a thing where they say it's a woman, teaching is a woman profession. And I think coming into the 21st century, I don't think that the mindset has changed. It's not just happening here in Jamaica, it's across the world where
Yes.
we do have a lack of men in the classroom. And it's unfortunate because when kids come into the classroom, we are sometimes some of the only caring adult they see. We're sometimes the only role model that they really see in their life because of the dynamics of their families.
Yes.
And so it's unfortunate that young men can come into the classroom and don't really see successful men in front of them.
Yeah.
And so it's so important that they have someone to model from, that there is representation. And we know that when, you know, going back to like statistics that I know about. Say, for example, in the US, we talk about when you see a Black teacher in the classroom, what that statistics look like. It means that for every child throughout their whole gamut of educational experience from kindergarten to high school that has had an experience with one Black teacher, that's a minority student with one Black teacher, it changes their whole trajectory. It makes them more likely to want to graduate high school or even pursue higher education because of that representation.
Look at that.
And that's what research says.
Yes.
And so if we turn that into men, where there's also a shortage of men in the classroom in the US and across the globe, it's just one of those common things. We need to get rid of this whole patriarchy idea. We just need a shift in mindset, and we need to start nurturing our boys and tell them that they can go into the classroom as well. It's not a girl thing.
Well, you know, Doctor, I was privileged to sit in a discussion where I said that we should, even on contract, carry back some of our men into the classroom, because some of the boys that are coming there now, the level of teaching, the teachers now are young, right? And these 16 and 15-year-old boys have to have some masculine,
strong male influence.
Strong male influence.
But at the same time, I am fascinated by your story, because both of you have told of your influences to take you where you are, and I'm sure there were many. But they've told us, Pearnel, about grandmother, and they've told us about St. Andrews, which is a Methodist United Church combination school. No, very important. Look at it. Look at what it's done. Surely the values, the principles of life that you gained from that strong grandmother, from that very intentional approach to education that you had at St. Andrews. That's very formative, isn't it? That's very valuable. Yes?
Yes, definitely.
Family and school set you on a path.
I would say, you know what, and I would go to even add it. I'm sorry I know Jamaica is more of a religious place. In the US, I probably would put a subscript on it.
Yeah.
But it's family. It's family, school, and God
and church. Good God.
I'm not going to let your girls get away with this. I haven't heard both brothers and father. So I want to hear about brothers and father.
Exactly. And so the crazy thing about it is this, while we have charted our way to success, let me tell you, my grandmother has played all those father figure, brother, male role in our lives.
Yes.
She is the strongest person I've known.
Yes.
And then when we went to St. Andrew High School, we met John Messam, who we're proud to say is our father and our mentor.
Yes, God bless him.
And
Recently
rest in
deceased.
peace.
Yes.
We came and we were able to do a memorial
Excellent.
with the family,
great.
For him. But he has played a great role in our
You got
life.
it, Pearnel.
And he has laid out expectations and promise for us. And then there's Andrea Messam, his wife.
Yes.
Who was also a mother figure when my grandmother wasn't there.
Yes.
And so we appreciated that they were there for us. But let me tell you, my grandmother, she was the structure. She gave us organization. She let us know that education matters. And for everything that we do, we try to make her proud. None of her work has been in vain.
Yes.
So no, we didn't grow up with this large family or this larger than life family, but it takes a village, right?
Sure.
Always for those students. So for every student who is listening, just know that there's someone out there championing you. And whenever they reach out, you have to go and show out. And that's what we did.
Beautiful.
We had some couple people in our corner and we showed out. We did and they did. And so it all takes everyone putting their part in.
And I hear somebody in their bedroom saying, boy, them go to Trelawney, round leaf yam down at Trelawney.
What about your commitment to Jamaica now? You've come back to visit us. That's wonderful. How do you see the diaspora continuing to contribute to Jamaica. One of the things we're doing on the bridge is to try and link people like your good selves and so many hundreds and thousands, and reaffirm the value of your experience, the value of your lives to this country. Talk to us about that. Are you proud of your country? Do you want to come back and contribute in the way that you're doing? Do you see a link between where you are, what you're doing, and ourselves here?
I'll say this. My sister and I, even though we didn't have a lot of family, and even in the US, we're not as connected to family as much as we would want to be. But what we have found is the community of Jamaicans in the diaspora.
Really?
We're under the Jamaica Diaspora Northeast.
Nice. Yes.
That is under the guidance of Dr. Karen Dunkley.
Yes,
and he does an awesome job in just bringing people together, bringing young minds, and trying to figure out how all of us can come together collectively to make sure that we're giving back to our country in a meaningful way. But outside of that, my sister and I started a nonprofit organization, US Elite, and really and truly, we want to help young students like ourselves who are at risk, from low-income background, first-generation students who are underrepresented, who are economically disadvantaged. We want to give them the same opportunity that we had to chart our path to success. And through our organization, what we do is we mentor the students. Yes, through US Elite International, we take them through the college matriculation process, make sure that they graduate.
Hello, listen to that.
And the biggest thing is to make sure that they graduate debt free. While they're in the US, we make sure that we nurture them, we mentor them, we give them a home away from home, we send them care packages. We just really take care of them, because at the end of the day, our goal is to make sure that
that is how we must live as Jamaicans. Listen to that.
Yes.
That's remarkable. How do we get in touch with you? I mean, I don't want you to be deluged, but I do want you to be deluged, because this is so good. US Elite International. Can you? Is there a contact, or can you telephone, and so that we can encourage people?
Yes. So anyone out there listening who would like some resources, would like to get in touch with us, it's uselite.org. So
that's easy.
You can go on the web, find us, uselite.org, US Elite International, or listen, my sister has become a superstar. You can just you just Google her name, you'll find
Listen to me. This is how we must live as people. This is really good. Listen, what a joy this morning.
But if I tell you something,
yes?
what I have to praise publicly the bridge.
Yes.
Because I did not know the value and the extent that value is of our diaspora, of our Jamaicans around the world, right?
Yes.
And I think it's wonderful to hear these two sisters tell us that they are a part of the diaspora.
Well, we want to welcome you home, Dr. Treisha Thorpe, a Jamaican, Dr. Keishia Thorpe, global teacher for 2021. We're really enthused by all you're doing, by who you are. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. You're always welcome on the bridge, and we're certainly going to help you promote your nonprofit organization for students. Thanks again.
Thank you so much for having us.
Oh boy,
thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Okay, good.
Clap. Listen.
My daughter will be very proud to know that you went to Howard.
Yes.
Did you say Howard?
Yes.
Yes, and
who is from Howard?
His daughter.
Dr. Michelle Child is a Howard girl, a dental surgeon, and she happens to be my daughter.
HU?
And a member of Parliament, which is very good too. Shows the spirit.
Yes.
Thank you both. All the best to you. We take a break on the bridge. We come back and wind up in a while. This is a great program. Early Rise on the bridge.